Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Urshan, and this week we are counting down the top 5 bad children in horror films. Now, I chose to focus on films that are centered around those characters. Not just a film that features a bad kid, but a film that where the whole movie is based around that child, Because, you could pick, like, say, Pet Sematary, but, the whole movie's not centered around Gage, I chose only films where the main base of the story is on that child or children. And I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions to films that just barely missed the cut because it's kind of questionable whether they're actually considered horror or thriller. And the first honorable mention would be, of course, the first film of its kind, really, and that is The Bad Seed. So one of the first films of that kind, and one of the best still. But that film you could probably consider maybe being a thriller, maybe not some directly horror. The next one would be The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin. Definitely had to mention that. Definitely one of the best of its kind. And yes, that's one that kind of walks the line between being a thriller and being a horror film. But great film, great performances by Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood as well. With that being said, we are going to delve into these films which I feel are straight up horror. And in that number 5 is The Prodigy. A film from 2019 that definitely flew under the radar. Probably because we've seen this kind of film before. I kind of feel like that's why this one kind of got ignored. But you shouldn't ignore this film because it's damn good. And the kid in this movie is really, really creepy. And an excellent performance. Next one is definitely one of my favorites, and we're actually going to be getting a sequel/prequel, which I'm really excited about, and that is Orph, and I love this movie. There is something wrong with Esther. There definitely is something wrong with Esther. One of the best child performances that I've ever seen. In my opinion, I think this movie is truly chilling, and her performance is chilling, and it's just a fantastic horror film. The things that she does are just so malicious and violent, and it's unbelievable, and she can do it with the face of a darling, I can't wait to see what the sequel brings, And we do have the same actress returning as Esther, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And at number 3 is, of course, this had to be on the list, The Children of the Corn. Not only do you have one bad child, you had a whole cult of bad children. Amazing film, especially that beginning scene where you really get to see the brutal side of Malachi and company. I mean, boy, the damage they inflict is amazing when you consider they're all children. It's terrifying. And in at number 2, you knew this one had to be in there, of course, The Exorcist. Of course, you have the legendary Linda Blair as young Regan, child possessed by a demon, Pazuzu. Now, you might say, well, it wasn't her fault, Yeah, it wasn't her fault, but that doesn't change the fact of the damage that she does. And she is a child, and she has a demon inside her, but still, it's a child doing damage, and inflicting pain and causing bloody violence and murder and insanity. It's just an amazing film. It's one of the greatest horror films ever made. There's no question about it. The Exorcist. And in that number one, what's it gonna be, folks? To me, it's the ultimate bad child in a horror film, and that is the Omen. Damien himself. It doesn't get more evil than the son of Satan. Damien, oh man. What an amazing film. It's terrifying. It's got some of the best acting I've ever seen in a horror film. And the way the film does it so subtly, the evil nature of Damien. And I love the premise of it, how it's almost like a twist on the Catholic story, you know, where instead of Mary bearing a child because of being chosen for her goodness, you know, bearing the child Jesus, here we have a son born of the devil, you know, and sent to earth to kill and cause chaos. And he does just that. So definitely, in my opinion, The Omen is the ultimate bad children in horror film. So thank you for joining me, folks, for the top 5 bad children in horror. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.